What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about Sundial Growers, ticker symbol SNDL. Now, this stock just had an amazing day today. We're up over 8% at the end of the day, and we actually bounced off quite a significant support level. Now, you can see on the chart right here, if you look, we saw just passed 70 cents midday, right? We passed 70 cents. Now, that was a very important support level for this stock. We're going to be reviewing some of the technicals for Sundial in this video, and you can see that we have been bouncing off of this level a couple of times, and this is actually one of the largest bounces that we've had, right? We actually bounced all the way from 67 cents to 72 cents, and I believe we did that something similar here. We bounced from 70 cents to 75, so it was a similar amount capital-wise, right, in terms of how much the stock moved, in how many pennies it moved. But what's significant about this is that we actually came down from a fairly low valuation, right? We were down below 68 cents, and that wasn't good for a lot of Sundial holders. People were getting worried that we were actually going to be breaking through this 70-cent level, because you can see we've been struggling to stay above it the past week. And then last Friday, we broke down in a significant way, ended up closing the day around 67 cents, 67.27. And we actually rebounded in a great way today, up 8%. Now, my opinions on Sundial are that we will probably be fighting with this 70-cent level for the next while, right? You know, it's very possible that we'll continue running up on this big bounce. We're up 8%. That is coming off of some other positive cannabis momentum. But overall, with Sundial, I think that we'll probably be struggling with this 70-cent level for the next while, because we just recently got there. And we'll probably be fighting with it maybe until another big cannabis catalyst comes out. I think that that could really get us out of this 70 cent to $1 range. I think that we could really start shooting up and actually sustaining a hold above $1 if we really got some positive cannabis news. Now, you can see, I'll actually draw a little line right here, that we have some significant resistance at $1. You can see that it has acted both as resistance in the past before a massive run-up. This is kind of a cruddy chart to look at it on. Let's look at the 180-day chart. You can see that we had some significant resistance at $1 before breaking through and we ended up hitting 487. Now, afterwards, we ended up dipping below in $1. On that huge run-up, you can see at 487, we dropped all the way from 487. The next couple of hours, we dropped all the way and hit $1 before rebounding very high up to around 3. And that is because $1 is very strong for us, and we actually bounced off of it once more on the way down, making new highs of $1.80 before continuing our downward trend of eventually breaking through $1, trying to regain it. And since then, we've just kind of been sitting in this 70 cent to $1 range. Now, I don't think that we'll be in here forever. I think that as soon as some really positive cannabis news, potentially legalization, comes through, I'm really hoping for that over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. I think that it's very likely that we'll actually see that sooner than people expect, right? Some people are thinking it won't happen in this administration, but I do think it is very likely that it will. I think that there's a lot of potential support that could be rallied with people, and maybe it's just more of a strategic strategy for the politicians to wait until it's right before an election or getting close to an election before they actually do some cannabis legalization, because then it will be fresh in people's minds and people will be more enticed to vote for whichever candidate ends up legalizing it. So I do think that there's some potential, political strategization that's going on with Sundial, and that we'll really have to wait to see what catalysts we can have coming for us before we actually decide, which way the stock is going. Because under 70 cents, I think this stock is a fairly decent buy, right? I think under 70, a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing. If you look at the yearly chart, you can see that when we have bounced off of 70, we've typically done it on fairly large volume, right? If you look, especially today even, we were up over 100 million shares being traded, and that broke the record for the past, over the past week at least. We haven't had 100 million shares being traded. As far as you can see right here, it's not been 100 million. Today was the first day in a while, actually. And that was because we were breaking below the 70-cent level, and this stock was getting relatively cheap. Now, if you look at Ortex, it's actually surprising what you'll see with this stock regarding the short data, because the short interest change is actually up 8% today. A lot of people were shorting this stock, and that's very interesting because despite that, we were still up 8%. Okay, so even though a lot of people were shorting this, trying to put it down, we ended up rallying and breaking 73 cents for a brief moment before, we ended up closing the day right below it. So it is interesting to see that even though there were a bunch of shorts, we were still able to stave off bearish plunge down and stay above 70. So it's very interesting to see that. Very bullish for the stock overall, in my opinion. Now, if you look at Google Trends, you actually see that Sundial, which is the blue line right here, Sundial is blue, Tilray is red, ACB is yellow, and Organigram is green. These are basically just my favorite cannabis-related stocks. You can see that Sundial overtook all of them today and was making mostly the highs for the day of all of these stocks. So it was the most talked about by far on the internet and the most searched for as well. So a lot of people are interested in Sundial. It was up over 8%, but if you look at other cannabis stocks, right, like Tilray, today was not just good for Sundial, it was good for Tilray, it was good for Aurora, ACB, there it is. And you actually see that they are having their earnings call coming up pretty soon, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. It looks like that's going to be at 5. They're going to be having their earnings call, so I will probably be listening to that, and I might make a video on it depending on if people are interested. If we look at Organigram, then we can see they were up today. Other companies were up today. MSOS, I believe, was up as well. Yeah, not quite as much as the Canadian companies, but it was up. So my expectation is that we'll probably continue fighting with this 70-cent level for the next while, right? Until we get some solid news. Maybe Aurora's earnings call could provide a little buoy to Sundial stock as well, right? Oftentimes, these cannabis stocks will trade in unison with each other. If one moves up, so will the others. That's very possible. You can also see that on Reddit and Wall Street Bets. If you scroll down all the way to spot 30, Sundial was on the move, up 5 spots today. Only 37 mentions, but that is up 147% over the past 24 hours, likely on this big buoy up, right? People were probably seeing this, seeing that it was moving up 8%. You know, anything over 5% is a pretty significant move for a stock like this when there is a lot of pent-up energy in it, right? We haven't been having two significant movements over the past while, and people are kind of waiting for that next explosion up in price. And now could be a good time for it, right? Bouncing off of 70, it makes perfect sense that we would bounce off this very strong support level, much like we did in the past. We would have to see if we would make new highs. I'm not sure we're going to be making new highs past this $1.50 level, and especially not past this $4 level, until we actually see some solid, concrete, fundamental news for Sundial stock. And really, that would only come in the form of cannabis stocks in general getting some solid news. It's going to be about legalization, I think. That's what we're really going to need to see these things launch out, because that's what's going to open them up to banking. That's what's going to open them up to the anti-social stigma around them. A lot of people do not want to use their products. A lot of people don't want to support their businesses. So I think that potentially we'll have to wait for that to see a big move up in the price of those stocks. Now, there is one more thing on Sundial where you can see the market cap. If we could actually get this thing to load, come on, let's go, Sundial. Ortex has been slow all day, but the market cap is 139 billion right now. Now that does still leave some significant room for Sundial stock to grow price-wise, right? Because especially if they get a big run, if a lot of people on the internet end up becoming interested in them around the time that there's a big catalyst, that could significantly push up this stock price. If you look at other companies, let's look at Tilray. If we look at Tilray, you can see their market cap, if this would load. Wow, Ortex is really slow today, as 5 billion already. So Sundial would have to about 4 or 5x before it actually got to the point at which it's as the same size as Tilray. So this stock really is a lot more volatile when it comes to these big price swings that aren't necessarily all fundamentally based, right? When there's any kind of hype, Sundial, I think, will outperform these other big cannabis companies because it has a much smaller market cap and is a lot more easily affected, as well as the fact that it is such a low price, right? 72 cents is very attractive to a lot of investors. I think that a lot of people want to get in on stocks that they see as cheap. And, you know, Sundial is cheap in terms of like literally the share price, right? 72 cents, as well as the market cap when compared to Tilray, which has a $5 billion market cap. It's cheap in those terms, not necessarily in terms of their fundamentals and the business model and all that. But people often don't look into the real nitty-gritty fundamentals of a stock before buying it, especially on those big momentum runs. So I think that Sundial really has the potential to pump up more than a lot of other cannabis companies on good fundamental news, even if the fundamental news isn't as important for them as it is for other cannabis companies. I think that, you know, if there is a big catalyst, Sundial will probably be pumping up a higher percentage-wise than other companies. And Sundial does have investments in other companies. They are diversified as a company. So I do think that there is something to be said for that. Obviously, any improvement in the cannabis market will be a great improvement for them. So that's all I really have for you guys today on Sundial. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.